And could you tell about the why you choose wellness? It's, as I stated in the intro, your whole life you wanted to be a healthcare professional where everyone could come to and trust that their entire well-being would be taken care of. That's quite a holistic point of view. Is that something that you had early on, or you grew into that?
Yeah. You mentioned my football, Australian football already, and it's always been a big part of my life as a junior and an adult. And I was never the most athletically gifted, but I really did everything I could to get the most out of my body and out of my career in football. So I was, from a very young age, trying to get an advantage somehow over my peers. I would look into nutrition, best ways to train, meditation way before it was popular. These sorts of things. And so that I was that way inclined from a very young age. And also a bit controversial. I remember thinking as a 13-year-old that it was a bit weird that we drink cow's milk, that we're the only mammals on the planet that continue to drink milk after infancy. But it's not our milk anymore, it's the milk of another mammal.
Exactly.
And I always thought that was a bit weird. And I think that's why you guys like me, because I'm
a bit weird.
Those two things I think were always going to lead me towards asking questions about health, asking why. And then I found chiropractic, which was lucky. It was lucky because I applied for physio, chiropractic, what else? Podiatry. And I got into all of them, but for some reason I decided on chiropractic, even though I'd never seen a chiropractor before I started studying. But after the first philosophy class at university, I knew I'd make the right decision.
Are you a big believer of faith, as you mentioned before?
I guess so. I'm probably not something I give a lot of thought to per se, but I guess I believe in fate. And what do you guys think about fate?
Yeah, I do think that if you experience something, if it's bad or good, that it's meant to be experienced.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a bit of faith, I think. Yeah.
Being a parent, you talked about good or bad there. I talk regularly with my son that mistakes are a learning opportunity. I guess that's essentially fate, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So you say mistakes are a learning opportunity.
Yeah, for him, he makes mistakes. He gets upset at himself. I thought, don't be upset. Only get upset at yourself if you make the same mistake twice. Something to learn from. Of course, we're all human and we'll make the same mistake twice probably. But I guess that lends itself to fate a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think that things, as Bob said already, if something happens, it is meant to happen, whether it's, so to say, positive or negative, it kind of needs to happen in your life so you can reach on the next stage? Or
Yep, I do. And I think in terms of having regret, that's also something you shouldn't do, because you are the person you are today because of the things that happened to you and the decisions you made. So accept it, appreciate it, learn from it, and try not to make the same mistake again.
Yeah.
I think that's a good value to have, because nowadays we tend to think that mistakes should be prevented. You should not make mistakes. You should, like, at the first try have a perfect score or whatever. But it doesn't work that way, and you only kind of lie to yourself if you think that mistakes should not be made.
Yeah, we put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I think that's the correct word. You put a lot of unnecessary pressure at yourself. Because
perfection is undefinable. So if you aim for perfection, you'll always fall short because you can't quantify it. But you could always aim to do your best, because you can set standards and goals and criteria around your best, can't you? But perfection, that's hard to quantify, because my perfect looks different than Bob's.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, so subjective, but
Have you, just this pops into my mind, have you read, do you read books? Or
Yeah, not as much as I should. I've got lots of books on the shelf,
Okay.
with the intention of reading them.
Well, the reason I asked is because you said you always have to do your best, because perfection is subjectively and not as it is. When do you reach perfection? Never. But the reason I asked the question, if do you read books, is because it's the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't know if you.
I know the book. I haven't read it.
Okay, just one of those agreements is always do your best.
Yeah.
So, which I think which resonates with me perfectly, because of the unnecessary pressure you put on yourself if you want something to be perfect.
Yep.
I think the two of us, in preparation of doing this podcast, like setting things up, we already told each other the only thing we can do is to do our best.
Yep.
We, of course, you want to have a perfect podcast, but yeah, we have to make mistakes, learn from them, and go on, move on, and just be and build better.
Well, if you wait for it to be perfect, you'll never start.
Exactly.
And if you have a big enough why, it's worth doing now.
Yeah.
And getting better over time. If your why and your passion's big enough, you should just start. I remember that was some advice given to me when I first started my public speaking back home. I was creating a talk and I was practicing it and waiting for it to be perfect, but there were so many people that missed out on the opportunity to hear what I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do a substandard public speaking gig or podcast, if one person hears something that changes what they do tomorrow,
Exactly.
then it was worth it, right?
Yeah.
I used to also think that if I didn't have 15 people in my practice, that was capacity, right, for my health talks. If we needed a bigger space, we'd rent somewhere. But I thought if it wasn't 15 people, then it wasn't worth my time. But actually, some of the very best talks I did was to one person.
Mm-hmm.
They were engaged, they nodded their head, and years later they tell me that it changed their life. And you can't buy that.
No,
Mm-hmm.
So
it's priceless.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Do you have people telling them after they visited you that you changed their lives?
Yep.
Could you explain a bit more in what way, or is it physically or mentally as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was very different for a lot of different people because of their own values. So some people, in fact, I try to make this clear with all my clients that they don't come to me because they've got less pain.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come to me because they've got pain. They come to me because that pain or that problem is costing them something they love. So when you can give that back to somebody, it changes their life. If it means playing with their kids, their grandchildren, going to work to earn money to put a roof over their head. I had some amazing clients back home. One in particular, Vincent. He is a disabled fella.
Mm-hmm.
He was born that way. And when he came to see me for the first time, Vincent would have been 21, I think. But he was sitting in my waiting room like an 8-year-old on so much medication that he just sat there rocking and drooling. Vincent used to have like 30 mini seizures a minute.
Okay.
So he was so doped up on drugs, he was just shaking and drooling. And after a short amount of time with us, he went down to having one seizure a month. He got a job. He could work. I knew when he'd come into my practice because the door would smash open, it would hit the wall because he was so happy to come in. He'd just run through the door and he would joke with everyone in the waiting room, and you could hear his laughter as he was walking down the street. And I always remember that because I think most people had given up on Vincent. Like no one gave him a chance, right? Like, you know, he goes to many professionals and they say, this is Vincent now. This is his life. And because we took the time to give him an opportunity, we changed his life in an amazing way. So that's one of my miracle stories.
So you actually saw him getting better every day.
Yep.
Like from what he was to the extraordinary that he could be.
His version of it, right?
Is his version, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very cool.
And after the treatments, he also got off the medication, or is that still
just the one medicine off the list? I can't even tell you what he was on, but Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
one
amazing.
seizure a month from having 30
A minute.
a minute.
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
The
If-
30 a minute were the micro seizures.
Mm-hmm.
And the one a month was his his big seizures on the floor, but still,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
But someone else is also treating him for whatever. Yeah, someone prescribed the drugs to him.
Yeah.
But nobody said to himself, well, maybe it's not the right way, or are we improving his life or not?
No, but that's why, to be in that model, that medical model, where healing comes from the outside in, and you really only have two tools in that model, which is drugs and surgery. So, that in terms of creating health, that'll never do that,
Mm-hmm.
and we can talk about that a bit later on if you like. But but giving his body back some of the things that it needed to work at its best, and in this case, a nervous system that worked under less stress, under less pressure, it changed his life.
Yeah.
So do you, in that particular case of Vincent, do you also recommend other things like change in his life, such as start sports or meditating?
Yeah, Vincent's mum was very proactive with him. She was wonderful. So I shouldn't take all the credit, because Vincent's mum was, she was a client of mine first, and when she heard the message, she thought, hey, maybe it's for Vincent. So yeah, he was already getting some physical therapy. But remember, when I first saw Vincent, he just sat there rocking. So it was Vincent didn't do much of the physical therapy. It was someone else moving him and stretching him and that kind of stuff. So, but that certainly changed, and he was working. He was working in a cafeteria. What do you guys have here? You guys have brownies and downies.
Yes.
He was
brownies
working
and
in that kind of a
Okay.
in a setup,
Okay.
which is super cool.
Cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have a goal or something to do and achieve something.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know that they ever thought that would be possible. He was 20. He was 21.
Yeah.
So I think they thought that was his life.
Yeah.
Until chiropractic.
Yeah.
Not me. Take no credit. Take no blame. But chiropractic changed his life, so that was cool.
Yeah.
About chiropractic, do you know why? I think in the Netherlands you don't have like an education for chiropractic. Why is that?
Well,
Do you know why that is?
no, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure this year or next year, some sort of local chiropractic school has been set up, but not locally. You still have to study abroad, with the idea that eventually they'll finish it here in the Netherlands. I don't know exactly, but it's gaining momentum because, well, more chiropractors are moving to the Netherlands. We're helping more people. The word's getting out there, which is why I asked Bob already to do a Google review for me. I'm not sure if you did that, Bob. But
Of what?
a Google review.
Oh no.
No, not yet, Bob.
I don't think so.
I've got my eyes
Still,
on you,
yeah. I owe that to you because my positive experience with your knowledge and.
But, it's funny. You said you owe it to me, which would be nice, and thank you. But the way I ask my clients to do it for me is because they owe it to themselves and they owe it to their friends and their family. So if people knew that chiropractic in our office was more than just about back and neck pain, it was about health and wellness, and they knew about the wonderful things we were doing for people every day, then maybe more people would come in. And if more people came in and utilised our services, maybe then chiropractic would be on the basis for sacring,
Yeah.
right alongside physiotherapy,
Where it needs to be.
where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then we get to help more people,
Yeah.
which is the goal.
Yeah, that in these times, the only people who can afford chiropractic are you seeing? I'm one lucky,
Yeah.
one of those guys, but yeah.
Anyway, we try to do our best to make chiropractic affordable for as many people as we can. But of course, without insurance, it can be difficult for some people,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be.
yeah, but that's a whole other discussion. That's because of insurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Do you think it will be in the basic insurance, or?
Yeah, it's a matter of time. The more people that use chiropractic,
Yes.
people power, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's a matter of time. And it's funny because it's not on there. It's put under that. What category is it put under when you have insurance? Alternative.
Alternative, yeah.
How's the word alternative perceived by you guys?
Yeah. Now, if I alternative kind of means that it is not normal or not like
second
the regular
best, or well, yeah.
Less scientific.
Probably
Yeah,
like
Could
that.
you feel
Yeah,
like like less research?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like you said already, I've got a 5-year double degree. So I spent more time at school than most physios. And in some cases, as much time at school as a medical doctor. So then for it to be considered
alternative
or unscientific is quite crazy, because we're sitting in the same classrooms as the physios and the doctors, learning all the same stuff about biochemistry and biophysiology and all the, you know, it's crazy, right? So if anyone's listening and you think chiropractic's a unresearched, unscientific quackery, it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, they need to do their research.
Yeah. Well, at times it's been branded that way because, well, we sit outside the scope of medicine. We have a different theory and a different basis behind why we do what we do. And in the past, that's perhaps been a little bit intimidating for medicine, because if people don't get sick in the first place,
you don't need medicine.
Yeah, perhaps. But that doesn't just come with chiropractic, by the way. It's not a golden egg that fixes everything. I'm not saying that at all either.
No.